Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more buckshot testing, and today we've got another new shell that we've never tested before on the channel, but it's one that I don't have a whole lot of confidence in. We've tested some other buckshot loads from this particular brand with some very poor results, and I really don't see how these are going to be all that much different, although there are a couple of you guys that swear up and down by these shells for whatever reason. So hey, if they make a decent version, I'm going to try and find it, but these ones don't inspire a whole lot of confidence in me. But as for those shells we've got today, I picked up some more of the good old Sellier Bellot S&B buckshot loads. We've tried some of these before with, again, some pretty terrible results, but these ones are a 12 gauge 2 3/4 inch 12 pellet load of double aught buck, and they don't have a velocity claim, but if the trend continues, they are probably going to be pretty weak shells, but we'll see what happens. And I find it funny that here on the front of the box, they claim that it's a new breed of hunting ammunition with a buckshot shell over a waterfowl scene. So are we going to get a waterfowl type of pattern out of them? Probably so if I had to take a guess, but we'll see what happens. And real quick, here's what one of those shells looks like. As you can see, no wad, no plating, no buffer material, no anything other than what looks like a little fiber base piece down here for a gas seal or something. Other than that, there's nothing here. So they don't really strike me as a very high quality shell, but who knows? We could be surprised. But as for the setup we're going to run them through, I brought out the Remington 1187. It's got a 28-inch barrel on it, and for the choke, we're going to go with the stock full choke. This particular one measures right at a 688 constriction, and this combo is generally a very solid starting point with any decent quality buckshot shell. It usually performs pretty well, so who knows? For a starting point, it could surprise us with these S&B shells, but we'll see what happens. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. I've got the big sheet of paper at 40 yards, the chronograph so we can get our velocity, and the templates that we can lay up over our results. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see if these 12 pellet 2 3/4 S&B buckshot loads can actually give us any kind of a decent pattern. I've got an idea of what we probably are going to see, but I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I get surprised on this one. So let's take our shot and see what we get. All right, so that shell gave us 873 through the chrono, and I actually believe it as well. They were terribly weak in the recoil department. I mean, they felt like a trap load. They sounded terrible, and it looked almost like a muzzleloader smoke cloud when I shot them up here. Even though they do use smokeless powder, you can see it in those shells that it's not black powder. However, this is not really surprising. This is the same kind of terrible velocities and stuff that we saw out of the previous S&B buckshot loads we tested, so I'm not at all surprised. They're underpowered and pretty weak, but how did they actually pattern down there at 40? Let's go check it out and see. All right, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and to my surprise, this isn't the worst pattern performance that we've seen. The white dot was the point of aim. The paper's 36 inches wide by about 44 inches tall. We did have all 12 pellets on the paper here, but only 11 of them are up here. The 12th one is all the way down there at the very bottom edge, so we definitely saw some pretty interesting little flyers and stuff in there. That one all the way at the bottom, and we had a pretty decent little clump of them right around the left side of our white dot. And then we had 3 of these that kind of strung over here to the right as well. If those 3 were a little closer, then that honestly wouldn't be a horrible pattern at all. So yeah, it obviously outperformed what I thought it would, but can we get any better out of these? That question, I don't know the answer to just yet. Maybe, maybe not. I did measure at least the main portion of our pattern left to right there is right at 24 1/4 inches. It's going to be larger if we include that one flyer that's way down there at the bottom, but still, that's not completely horrible. So I guess we can throw a couple templates up and see how it would look if you actually used it out in a few different scenarios. So first up is our 10-inch circle, and at 40 yards, we had 2 pellets in there. Definitely nothing great. If we move that template around a little, we might pick up one more pellet somewhere. So 2 to 3 pellets, you can say. Not great. We've got a big void right in the middle of it, so it's definitely not the tightest spread of pellets at 40 or the hottest core, but you still have a decent amount of pellets behind the template right there. However, let's switch over to an animal template and see how it would look if you took this shot out there on a hunt. So here's our deer template, and if we line it up with our point of aim, pattern-wise, yes, that is a dead deer. We do have a void right through the middle of your lungs right there that I don't really like, but you've got enough pellets through other areas of the vitals that would have gotten the job done on that deer. However, at that low of a velocity, all the way out here at 40 yards, I would not be the one to trust picking these shells out there on a hunt. And like I kind of pointed out earlier, the boss claims that it's a new breed of hunting ammunition, and yeah, it might be a new breed in the way that it's designed to wound all your deer with not enough penetration and stuff. So it's not even worth throwing the hog template up or anything on this one. It's going to look the same, and I would still not recommend these shells for a hog hunt either. Really, at that low of a velocity, they would be an okay performer if you wanted to use them for a home defense setup or something. You would be perfectly fine with that. At 1,000 or a little under 1,000 feet per second, it's going to do fine. For a hunting load on a deer hunt or a hog hunt or anything like that, not my suggestion at that low of a velocity. And I'm sure several of you guys are wondering why I didn't take a second shot to see if I had a bad shell or something. And for that, I have shot enough of these S&B buckshot loads to tell you that it's going to be the same. We might crack 1,000 with a shell or two here and there, but generally 800, 900, 1,000 feet per second is what they're running. So I guess overall, for a shell that doesn't have a wad or buffer or plating or anything, the pattern isn't horrible, but the velocity performance and stuff is pretty anemic, to say the least. It would not be my choice of shell for a deer hunt, that's for sure. All right, y'all. Well, what did you think about those results right there? On one hand, I was kind of surprised and maybe a little bit proven wrong about our pattern capability here. They actually patterned quite a bit better than what I was expecting them to. Typically, you cover the entire paper and you have a couple of them missing when it comes to these S&B shells. So that's probably the best pattern we've ever gotten out of an S&B buckshot load. Now, if you take 1,000,000 shots with a buckshot load, can you get lucky one time out of that 1,000,000 and have a good pattern? Yes, but I honestly think if we took more shots, it would probably stay about the same as that through this setup. I don't know that we can really get any better than that, but who knows? We might be surprised if we run it through a buck kicker or a bore blaster or something of that nature. The big problem with these shells is the velocity on them. They are super anemic, and that's been the case with all the S&B buckshot loads that we've tested. Just the absolute most anemic, worse than a trap load type of velocities and stuff. It's nice for low recoil situations, and it would do fine for a home defense scenario, but it wouldn't be my choice for a hunting load. It's just not enough velocity. You're not going to be carrying enough energy or penetration potential out of them. So there's much better options out there for that. But leave all your thoughts down below. Is that about what you expected out of them? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any S&B buckshot loads? And if so, what kind of results have you seen? And have you gotten the same very anemic velocities and stuff out of them? Is that a pattern or a combo you would use on a hunting scenario? Or would you just stick to a range day or maybe a home defense scenario? And what other choke combos or setups do you want to see us run those shells through? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it. But I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.